to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Bryce here.
Jean here.
Kate here.
Cole over here.
I have a couple of agenda revisions that I would like to request. Michelle has given us a superintendent report that I'd like to add to the action items on section C. If that is okay with the board. I also would like to add superintendent vacancy discussion under discussion after public input. And I need to add an additional paragraph to the RSA regarding the non-public session to list number 3, which is about hiring or discussing hiring. And I would like to make sure we move the approval of non-public minutes to the non-public session tonight. So, if that's okay with the board, I have it, I'm following it, so, on the agenda, so, all right. So we'll start with the action items, which is the window replacement project.
Okay. In my report, I pulled together some information from our facilities director, Scott Brown, and just recap for you that we do have 3 quotes from local companies, qualified companies to do the window replacement. Lowe's is $43,000, I'm going to scroll down so you can see my report, $43,036. Fremont Glass Garage and Door is for $48,620, and Portland Glass is for $50,728. I've provided for you a report for the balance in the school's expendable trust fund. At December 2012, the balance was $31,009. At the end of this year, we're committed to depositing an additional $10,000, excuse me, increasing that balance to $41,000. In addition, there are 2 areas of savings in the budget that we've had. And one is that we have recognized what's called a premium holiday from Primex for workers' comp premiums paid during the 2009 fiscal year. Essentially, the Insurance Commission has said that any of the pooled risk entities that really overcharged to build their cushion, so to speak, they were building the cushion too much. So we have received a credit this year from Primex for workers' comp. So I relieve that encumbrance. That's why you've got premium holiday, $12,000 is floated back up to the surface, plus we've made some other adjustments, relieving some other encumbrances. I've just given a recommendation, just because I just felt obligated to just give you my idea, that if the board so desires to proceed with the low quote, or one of the quotes, that you could actually fund it from, say, 10,000, taking 10,000 from the trust and a remaining 33,000 from the general fund.
And Mr. Brown recommended Lowe's quote.
I did speak with him. Yes, he's fine with that. He's fine with the guarantee. He's been assured that installation would be done by qualified contractors. He'd be on site to be managing the project. And that I don't have an actual date that it could possibly be done, but it would be in the summer, July, August timeframe.
Okay.
So that included also the removal of the whole
That's
thing,
correct.
correct?
Removal and disposal, yes. It is reflected in the attached
I thought I
document.
saw that.
Yeah.
So I'd like to entertain a motion to accept Mr. Brown's recommendation.
I'll motion that.
And who else? If we do that, do you want, I don't know if you would like to amend it, Greg, to also include what Lori recommends for the payment?
Yeah.
How she recommends the
A
payment?
motion to accept Mr. Brown's proposal with What board recommends for payment?
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any other discussion on it? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, budget transfers.
Okay, let me, I wasn't being presumptuous by including budget transfers for this particular, purchase. So it is not reflected in this report. There's just one budget transfer in which Mr. Brown is giving up some money in which he had saved from his, let me try and pull this up here, from his operation of his plant. And moving it over to this account here, very specifically notated as replacement equipment for the nurse's office. The nurse has done some research looking for a temp-controlled, digitally monitored refrigeration system with a lock on it. And so, here, I'm looking for your approval
Okay.
for the transfer.
Motion to approve the transfer as presented.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we have a superintendent's report from Michelle that I think we have scanned in. Pretty much a recap of the things that are going on right now or that need to be continued. I think what we'll be doing is probably meeting at some point to talk to John and to Laura and see what we can do to continue most of this until we have a replacement in the superintendent's position. So, I don't think there was anything of any surprise here when I read it, so. Does anybody have any questions on the superintendent's report?
Nope.
So we're gonna go right to public input. And there should be a sign-in sheet being passed around. Thanks, Sue. Thank you. It looks like we have some people who might want to speak, so I guess we'll go with Sue Levine first. Hi. Hi. Didn't necessarily want you first, but.
I guess I would just ask the board, we've had a lot of activity and change since the last time that we were all here last week, and I was surprised, as I'm sure many people were, to hear of the superintendent's resignation, and it sounds like you guys have that on your agenda for later. I wasn't clear, was that part of the public, or was that going to be part of the non-public session? You had said that that was going to be added after public input.
The superintendent vacancy discussion is going to be public.
Okay. Well, before you have the discussion, I think it's concerning for me, just, we had built relationships, and Superintendent Linga had learned a lot about the community and the school, and felt like we were moving in a positive direction. And this timing, in terms of, going into the summer, most people who are looking for positions have already, the prime candidates that we might want to target for our school district have probably already accepted positions elsewhere. So I just was wondering what the strategy was, and perhaps you don't have a strategy yet because it's on the agenda after us, but any thoughts or feedback or anything along those lines, and also, what can we as parents who, are care about the community and care about the school, what can we do to help?
We will be talking about it during the public session, so. And we haven't met yet about it, so that's what we'll be doing later on tonight. I have a maybe for Tammy Bond.
Hi, are we allowed to speak during that public session when that discussion is going to be taking place, or is this the only time that we have input?
I'll read the public input, the public participation at board meetings policy so that you'll understand what is going to happen. The board encourages citizens of the district to attend its sessions so that they may become better acquainted with the operation and programs of the schools, and so that the board may have opportunity to hear the wishes and ideas of the public. All official meetings of the board shall be open to the press and the public. However, the board reserves the right to meet and to adjourn or recess a meeting at any time to discuss such matters as are properly considered in non-public session in accordance with RSA 91A3. Public comments at the beginning of the meeting are to allow community members to comment on the items on the agenda prior to board action. The board adopts as policy the following procedures and rules pertaining to public participation at board meetings. 1, any individual desiring to speak shall give his or her name, address, and the group, if any, that is represented. A sign-in sheet shall be available before the meeting for anyone wishing to speak. The presentation should be as brief as possible. Written remarks are encouraged. The chair will try to limit comments and will keep the meeting moving along. 3, speakers may offer comments on such school operations and programs as concern them. In public session, however, the board will not hear personal complaints of school personnel nor complaints against any person connected with the school system. Other channels are provided for board consideration and disposition of legitimate complaints involving individuals, which should be referred to the superintendent for appropriate action. Community members should not expect any immediate response to questions or comments. If the board has already taken a position on a topic, the board chair will state the board's position. 4, copies of the agenda and various handouts will be available at the meeting in the folder marked public information. There is also an envelope marked suggestions, comments for this board, where a community member may place a note for the board instead of speaking in public. The board vests in its chairperson or other presiding officer authority to terminate the remarks of any individuals when they do not adhere to the rules established above as to content or time limitation. Persons appearing before the board are reminded as a point of information that the members of the board are without authority to act independently as individuals in official matters. So this is your time to speak. It's the public input session right now.
Okay. I don't want to repeat what Sue said. I guess Tammy Bond, 21 Pond Lane. I just really feel and continue to feel that Ms. Langa was an excellent superintendent. I really feel like she was moving our school system in the right direction. And I'm just very concerned about the timing of this, considering all the changes that are upon us in a very short time period. And I'm sure there's probably not going to be specific reasons given, but I just feel like this is a huge loss for us.
Jeff, do you have depends?
I'm in the dark about it. I came to find out and try to understand what happened and why. And I'm sure I'll have questions after I learn that. But right now, I just echo what the other ladies had to say about it.
Angela, did you want to speak, or did you, because I saw the X.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, so I was
That's right,
back
some
and
people wrote yes, and some people just checked their name.
So Angela O'Connell, 63 Gristmill. I had sent a letter to the school board. I wasn't sure if everyone got it or just you, Ida. Does everyone get the letters that are sent to the school board or just?
The school board at SAU83, everybody gets
Okay,
it.
perfect. Okay, I wasn't sure because
Our policy is that the chair answers.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, thank you. So in there, I had detailed out some questions, and I was very shocked, as I think a lot of people were, because I was at this school board meeting last Tuesday and then Wednesday, and throughout, found out about the resignation, if you will, and then wow, So I know that there was going to be added to the non-public session on Tuesday, last Tuesday, was the evaluation of the superintendent, and then with the immediate, resignation, kind of deduct, there must have been something to go on there. And I was really shocked considering that we had, I believe, just extended her contract by 2 years. So I was shocked in whether it's public knowledge or not, whether it can be public knowledge or not, why she resigned, what the evaluation was. I don't know if that can be or not, to really, because if we extended a contract for her for 2 years, but the evaluation was so negative that she resigned, to me, there seems to be a little bit of a disconnect there. And I'm not sure if that's true or not. So I'd like to understand that, and I'm kind of making a deduction, if you will, based on the timing of everything. So I'd like to understand that if the exact evaluation cannot be shared, if we could see what the evaluation base is on. Because I think that as a community and a school board, we have a lot of work to do, that we
find a superintendent that's gonna fit and that we're gonna be able to work with and continue to work forward with, because this constant turnover of our superintendents is not allowing us to reach school board's goals. It's not allowing us to reach the goals of constantly improving the school, meeting year AYP that we need to do. It just feels like we've taken a step forward and we've taken a big step back. So once again, not knowing a lot of what, you know, other people are here to understand and find out, but really we need to figure out a way to work together. As an active community member and attending these meetings and so forth, I'd like to volunteer. If you need any help on search committees, volunteer, anything like that, I'd be more than willing to help with that. It's just we need to figure out a way to work together to accomplish this, because this is a huge step back.
Thank you for your offer, and there will be an opportunity for volunteers to step forward. Of course, the board has to decide on that, but I do have some things in mind that I want to share with the board in regard to that. In regard to the evaluation, there's no way we can release the evaluation. It's a personnel file matter. The only thing we've been told by legal counsel is to say that we received a resignation from Michelle Langa and that we accepted her resignation on the 11th. And the form that we use for the superintendent eval is part of our policies, so that's available for anybody to see. We use the New Hampshire School Board Association recommended evaluation form.
Okay.
And that's all we can say about it. We really cannot talk about her evaluation at all.
Will we be able to, or the school board, I mean, maybe the school board not we, but the school board, be able to share any areas that were of concern for the future to when we do start looking for a new superintendent and start, so we don't go down the same path again?
We can't divulge any information about Michelle Langa's personnel file at all.
So you all will just know and just be cognizant of that when we're interviewing and looking for a new superintendent.
Yeah, I mean, when we talk about, you know, we get into the discussion of hiring a superintendent, I think we'll all be sharing about some of the things, you know, we'd like to see as far as the fit with the school. You know, we're all aware of what, you know, what we're in the middle of, you know, curriculum mapping and the curriculum committee and the teacher evaluation system and all that other things that, and a number of other things that are being worked on. We certainly would be cognizant of when we're looking to hire.
The board's been very happy with the direction of the school. And we want to continue the direction that it's going in. And we've been trying to improve the school for over 3 years now, as we work together, most of us on the board, and that's where we continue to be pleased with the direction the school is going in. We're not displeased with the direction the school is going in at all.
No,
Jennifer, Brown?
I don't think, 3 Squire Road, sorry. I don't think I would really have anything additional to add. I think, like some of my peers, we kind of came in not knowing exactly what we could address and what we couldn't, and just trying to get more information to be able to be educated. As we know, in small towns, you hear a lot of things, and it's best to come right to the source and get accurate information. So that's definitely what I was here to do. So I agree with Jeff. I can also echo the concerns of everybody before me as a parent with children in the school and being very active in the school since the time they've entered. I won't give you a lengthy essay here. I just would really like to see something positive going forward, because I really feel like we've taken a hard hit here, and that we're in a negative place right now, and that's not where we're looking to go. So, you guys have a big job ahead of you, and I think as a community, we want to support you in getting a new superintendent in here that can do a great job and understanding maybe what went wrong with the superintendent. I think a lot of us feel like was doing a good job, so we don't fall into that trap again.
Thank you for the words of support that you want to help. We appreciate the parents in this community. We realize how much you give to the schools and how active you are, and we're lucky to have parents like all of you in our district, and we appreciate it. Jennifer, Nadine?
I just want to echo the same sentiments, of course, I'm sure. With kids in the school, you can understand why. I am pleased to hear that you're happy with the way that the school is going, because I'd like to see it continue, although I feel like this, I'm sure you can understand, has a very, like Jen said, negative look to it. It just doesn't sit well with me. I don't know what Mrs. Langa's reasons were. I'm displeased with the fact that she resigned, and whatever the reasons, I'm sure she has them. However, I just feel like there's an opportunity here to do the right thing or not. And I just hope that the right thing will happen. We are always here to help. We want to help. We are advocates. We're the only voices for our children, and we will have to be that. They can't speak, so we will speak for them. But I really fear going in a negative direction. I really am putting my trust in you all to help our school, because Fremont is a great town. It can continue to be a good town. We have wonderful parents. But if it does become negative and fall further down that path, we'll lose all these wonderful people, and I don't want to see that happen. So I appreciate your help going forward.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who'd like to speak that didn't sign in, or Stephanie, did you want to?
I did
I know
sign
you came in late, and if anybody else didn't mark but would like to say something, please let me know.
I apologize, Stephanie Allen, 11 Levitt Road. I apologize for coming in late, but I feel the same as all of the previous speakers, that I just thought I should come tonight and say how proud I am that Ms. Langa has represented our community in the way that she has. I really feel like she has a great way of representing us, and being able to make a connection with parents, explaining her knowledge of education is it's impressive. It really is something that's inspiring to me. And I just don't know if you've already answered these questions, or if there's a way that when somebody does give their resignation, if we're able to change their mind, or does that, once you accept the letter or accept their resignation, does that mean that there's a certain process that we can't step back with? I mean, is there any way that we can keep her here?
She tendered her resignation, and we accepted her resignation. And that's all I can really say about it legally.
So is there anything that we are able to do as a community that can persuade her to stay? Or at that point, does it need to go through like legalities that we don't know about?
Her resignation's been accepted. She, I guess the only thing that could happen is she could apply for the position again if it opened. I don't know what to tell you other than that.
Okay, that's what I thought. I wasn't clear. So.
We also received, I don't know if there's anything in the file. Did anybody write something down that they didn't want to say out loud that they would like me to read? Or do you know if anybody?
A file?
Well, there's an envelope that some people can put their little messages in. Did anybody?
Envelope.
This might be an envelope.
There is a letter
Very
that,
outspoken, so.
there is a letter here that is on my desk that I believe is a public input letter, so I do want to read it. And so I will, if everybody else is done.
I thought of one other thing that I did have a question about.
Okay.
And not surprising probably to you, it has something to do with like the strategic plan. Michelle had a lot of responsibility in that plan, and I know the board will be working on goals and updating that plan probably in the next couple months. But are you giving some thought about ways not to lose momentum on some of these initiatives, so that they can continue over the summer? I know particularly with respect to curriculum development and mapping and some of those things that we're very close to being finished, or maybe even are finished, I don't know. But my concern would be that we do lose that momentum, and that we lose another year possibly because of her leaving us at this point in time. And the need to search for a new superintendent, the need to have other people get up to speed, easily could lose a year. So I'm just wondering if you're thinking about contingencies for that, and if other people can pick up where she left off and just try to keep that stuff going.
I think you'll get a lot of answers if you can stick around for the next section of our meeting, Jeff. And I would like to hold the board to see if we could add another public input after that session, so that they could also bring, okay, so we'll add another public input session to, right after we go over my ideas and what the board has to say. We have not met yet, so this is all happening very fast. And we can only discuss things like this as a board at a meeting like this. So we have not met since the news. So yes, we will do another public input session after we discuss what we're going to discuss. Let me read this letter from several people. There's a lot of signatures on it. Dear Mrs. Keene and board, after recent events, many of us felt that we should respectfully submit this letter to you. We, the undersigned staff, are concerned with the direction that the school board and therefore the school are currently taking. The primary concern of the school board appears to be watching each dollar instead of planning for every child. While we understand that the board must address both concerns, the lack of emphasis on the children and the learning process is perceived. We are concerned that the managing style of the school board is taking far too much administrative time and effort. This time could be better spent guiding the staff and directing curriculum efforts. The stress that this seems to place on the administration is directly passed on to the staff and therefore to the students. We are concerned that Ellis is going to lose many of its valuable educational resources, teachers, paraprofessionals, specialists, and more. Some have notified the district and several others may be following them. The quantity of staff can be replaced, but replacing the quality is much more challenging. The contributions of some that are or may leave will be detrimental to the school. Some are leaders in curriculum, some take on many extracurricular roles, and all champion Fremont children. We are hearing their reasons, and money and feeling unappreciated top their list. Though no staff or administration is perfect, a consistent staff is necessary. Each time there is a change, momentum is lost. Though the Common Core and textbooks do guide us, it is our developed expertise and experience that makes the difference in the test scores, confidence, and general success of the students. Though a leader can be replaced with another leader, it is often a year or more before buy-in, it's in quotes, is achieved and positive change picks up speed. Frequent staff changes promote misguided independence and not purposeful unity. In general, we are concerned for the morale of the school. Many are frustrated and are doing it for the good of the kids. We do not want to let these kids down, but at what point will this break? We want to feel like we are valued. We have heard the message, inadvertent or not, that there is no shortage of resumes and we are a dime a dozen. We have heard the message that things do not matter unless they affect the tax dollar bottom line. We have heard the message that the safety of our children is not a top priority. We have also heard the message that Ellis School can be one of the best schools in New Hampshire. We know you believe this too, or you wouldn't be holding the positions you now do. We are looking to you to alter the path that things seem to be taking. And it's signed by a number of teachers and paras, and it'll be part of the minutes. I don't think I need to read everybody's name, but if you'd like me to, I will. And we just received that this evening at my desk. So I will give it to you, Sue, for minutes. And with that being the last public input, I guess we'll move to the superintendent vacancy discussion. Thank you. You're welcome.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
Yeah, you guys keep going.
Lori, I didn't know, do you want to stay or do you want to leave? Because I know we put you at the front so that you could,
I'm staying for the public session.
Okay.
I
And then you'll
have
head out.
actually a commitment for non-public,
Okay.
so.
okay. I really think I should wait for Andy just so he hears what I have to say, so we'll just wait for just a few seconds. I'd like to open a board discussion regarding the superintendent vacancy for our district. I have a few ideas, suggestions I'd like to share, and then I would like each board member to share also. Based on the short timetable that we have to work with, I would suggest that the school board review the available pool of interim superintendents and appoint one for the 2013-2014 school year. Then, once an interim is in place, I would suggest we post a job opening for a permanent superintendent full-time to begin July 1st, 2014. The school board would then review the applicants and pass finalists onto a search committee moderated by a school board member and made up of 4 to 5 community members, our principal, a middle school teacher, an elementary school teacher, a case manager, a paraprofessional, an administrative assistant, our facility director, and our financial administrator. The search committee will recommend their selection to the school board for a final decision by the board. I've developed a timetable that the New Hampshire School Board Association recommends we use when hiring a full-time permanent superintendent. And I've also drafted an announcement to staff regarding this. And also a job posting has been drafted about the vacancy. So I'll pass out those few things I've drafted, which say exactly what I just said. And I'd like to hear everybody's ideas. We can start with whoever would like to share their ideas of what to do.
I think it's a good idea to bring in one of the other candidates if they're still available that we interviewed last year.
We won't talk about specifics as far as people because it's touchy, because if they're working somewhere else right now, you wouldn't want to be
Right.
mentioning names. So the district needs a superintendent.
We're all different, right?
They're all different. It's a whole packet that I'm passing out.
Here it is.
The attorney said we can be without a superintendent for a short time and try to work out a situation where at least the financial administrator has the board to go to and maybe the principal has the board to go to until we get a superintendent, but I believe that there's a pool of superintendents out there that would be willing to take an interim position. I've been talking to other superintendents, the New Hampshire School Board Association, and some staff people and administration at our school who've given me some suggestions for our ideas on interim people. And I do not want to lose the momentum that we have. I don't want to let committees just drop that we have scheduled for the next meeting. I'd like to see somebody in place who can at least lead and guide through those, and basically pass the torch on to the next person who's qualified to be a superintendent. That would be my choice. And I do have concern that we will lose the work that we've been all participating in at various levels. I mean, we're all on different committees,
I don't want to go backwards. I agree.
so.
I agree. I think the sooner we can start this in motion, the better chance we have to continue to manage it.
I agree, you know, like I said, let's look at the pool, but also other names that may have popped up in different areas.
I have some information that I can share in non-public. Like I said, I spoke with John Safina, I've spoken with Lori, I've spoken with other superintendents in the area to find out what they would recommend, as well as the two associations, the principals and the school board associations, and I can share some details with you on that.
As far as the search committee, I think you said had them pass up their selection, maybe have them pass up a couple selections, just so we're seeing a couple, and we can
Oh,
talk
yeah.
about maybe later, but
Normally, when you do the search and there's a committee with the public involved, they tell us who their first, second, and third choice is,
Yeah.
maybe something like that,
Yeah.
because when you offer the job, you're not guaranteed
I
that
just want to make sure we're.
you get the person you really want
one.
first, you know, so, yeah, that would be something that the search committee would work on, and there would be a board member who just facilitates that and brings the information back to the board. And the board takes the recommendations and then takes a vote.
And if you said we could invite some parents or.
I think, I had said in the past, it's been 5 or 6 parents, or even community members, it doesn't have to be
Yeah.
just parents, that can be on the board, on the committees.
Yeah.
And so I understand correctly, this is when we start searching for the permanent
Yes.
person, correct? Okay.
Yes. The interim, we don't have time to do
Yeah.
much except try to find a very qualified individual to fill the seat until we can do a full search and put somebody in here that we hope will be a multi-year contract, that will stay with us long-term.
Now, we'll be signing a 1-year contract with the interim?
The interim, it can be done all kinds of ways, Andy, it would depend on who's available and what they have, what they can offer. But yes, we wouldn't fill the position, we can't fill the position with anybody right now, permanent full-time, because everybody's in place for the following year. Everybody has long-term contracts, you know, or at least a contract. We did our contract for a 2-year contract in January, I think, didn't we? Or March, or, I don't know when it was, but so.
I think it's a good plan.
Well, I think we have to hire an interim. I mean, there's no way we're gonna get, you know, new school year's beginning, we're gonna be starting budget season. The budget planning process will be beginning very soon. Plus, you know, give someone the summer to get up to speed on what's been going on, so they can, you know, continue with some of the work that's been happening. We actually have some things going on right now that would be occupy some of the summer stuff, and that someone's gonna have to be brought up to speed on. So, and I think hiring interim will at least bring some continuity. You know, there'll be someone in charge for the school. I think we do have quality people in place, you know, in John and Sarah and Lori, which is a good start.
Did the lawyer define what a short period was or a short time?
No. She basically said that the Department of Ed says you need a superintendent, and then she said, but our firm doesn't necessarily agree with that for the time being when you're transitioning, because there's just nothing you can do about it until you get it. I don't think we'll be without an interim superintendent for very long if we get moving on this and just spend our days and really be flexible with our scheduling to get some interviews done and try to get it done. Michelle is with us till the 28th. And she's operating business as usual until the 28th, so I think we just gotta get moving.
Should we include Sarah into the interim, just
Yeah.
include it?
You need their input. That would be my suggestion for the interim. And Lori.
Okay, we're here.
So, all right, well, look over the drafts of what I did, and make any changes or write to me and tell me what changes you might want to have, and then we will release these as soon as possible. But the lawyer's already reviewed all of these, yeah. All right, so does anybody have anything else they want to discuss as far as this goes? So we'll go to public input. That's the plan.
I guess I have a question. Can the interim, do you feel like the interim superintendent can step in, and I'm not familiar enough from like one school district to another, will they be able to step in and work on some of the same things that we're working on, like curriculum mapping, like, you know, different projects and so forth?
Yeah, we know the projects that are out there, and we do have a very nice report from Michelle. That was her final report that she did for us tonight, which is going to be part of the minutes, is part of the packet too. And so we know what's out there, we know what committees are coming up, and we are gonna try to get somebody who we think is a good fit for continuing those things until we have the permanent person in. Just, it would be natural to do that, you know. We don't wanna stop anything that's already in motion. The board hasn't had any problems with any of the projects that have been going on.
No.
So another question I had, from the search that we had last year, there seemed to be a number of qualified candidates from that search and so forth.
There are four finalists? Four finalists.
So, is it, I'm not saying whether we would, if you all felt that any of them would be a good fit or would not be a good fit, or is there any time to revisit some of them as possible candidates then to come in to take this now versus waiting?
Yes, there is a potential, but it's, a couple of them have already taken and signed positions with other school districts. As of July 1st, they start their new contracts.
Okay.
So, but there is potential there, and we're, like I said, in public, we cannot really talk
Right.
about the people yet because we don't want to jeopardize anybody's career.
But can that be done in lieu of the intern, I guess is what I'm saying? So we can kind of skip the intern and go directly to that if we can be without a superintendent for a short time, whether it's, you know, 10 days, 30 days, whatever it might be to get that person up. Because I'm just thinking then that way we could go directly to something that would be permanent, if it's the right fit.
Yeah, last year we had about 8 weeks, I think, that we rushed and did it. And we thought we had the right placement and all of that. So I was very gun shy to do that again based on what had, you know, what has transpired. And I thought it would be best to do a full search with a search committee made up of the public and the staff and really make sure everybody's on the same page with an individual instead of rushing it. And especially this quick, this is really fast to try to do it.
And I just wasn't sure if there was any other candidate that was like so
The
strong.
pool is already signed on to, I mean, most superintendents have a
Okay.
job right now that
It doesn't-
that they're signed on to with a contract.
It doesn't mean though that whoever we bring in as an interim doesn't have the opportunity to actually apply and go through that
Oh, right.
process too.
Okay.
Yeah, or that one of the people that, one of the finalists from last year may accept the interim position. And it's always a possibility too.
I just was wondering if there's anything like that.
You know, I'm the type of person that wants to fill it and get it done, but at the same time, I am hearing all kinds of feedback from all kinds of people that we might not be doing things the way people want us to. And I'm just very leery to rush into something that would commit us without input from everybody that's going to be affected. So, as much as I would like to do what you're suggesting, I don't think that would be best for the district right now.
I just had just a quick question about interim superintendents. Are they typically people that have been retired for a while and out of the system, or?
No, they're not out of the system. A lot of them, that's what they do is
That's just what they're,
yeah,
okay.
they offer their services as an interim and help actually with the search and have worked with many different districts.
So that's kind of, sort of providing almost technical assistance, they're not looking I guess without sort of saying it, but I'm gonna say it's not that they're not qualified, they're just not necessarily looking for a full-time.
Some of them are extremely qualified and have run districts for years, and
Well, we have
are
some-
now
we have
retired
an
and, or semi-retired, if you will. And there's
Yeah.
certain stipulations with the semi-retired. For instance, they have to be careful not to work over a certain number of hours or they jeopardize their retirement. So they can only work, I think, 30 hours a week or 32, I'm not sure which one it is. So there's some constraints to somebody that's an interim.
So that's they can only work 30 hours a week?
If they're retired, yes, yeah.
I mean, we may have to work.
Not
with
every
it.
interim is a
If
retired
they're
person.
not full-time, we may have to sit down and work with them and prioritize things. Because they're not gonna be able to, work a full work or work 50, 60 hours a week to try and get everything done. So we may have to sit down with everybody, with John and Sarah and Lori and, everyone else and prioritize, what exactly should be worked on over the next year that we actually need to absolutely have to have done. That's certainly something that we could do. We did have an interim superintendent prior to Bill Lander coming here, and he worked out pretty well, my understanding, because, I worked with him in the budget committee, I thought it worked out.
Who was that?
Well,
Yeah.
we had an interim who became permanent,
Was it Bill?
Tangway.
yeah.
Oh, Tangway, no, he's not the one, he's not the one I'm thinking
So I can think of.
of. Really?
We had an interim principal.
Interim principal, that's right. Interim principal.
Oh, that might be who you were
That's
thinking
what
of.
I'm thinking of,
He was retired.
Yeah.
Ideally, I think, from what I've seen of the workload and what we're trying to accomplish here, a full-time interim would be the ideal candidate,
Yeah.
and a full-time superintendent for July 1st, 2014. And work with the schedule that the New Hampshire School Board Association recommends for as far as like interviewing and visiting and all of the things that we have to do.
Can you speak to the cost of an intern superintendent versus a regular full-time, and then also the cost of putting together a search committee and doing a search and so forth, of hiring?
Yeah, the cost for the search committee is it's volunteer.
But I mean, like posting, and like, is there an average
It's
cost
not,
of the?
we already subscribe to School Spring, so that would be where we post the position, as well as New Hampshire Ed Jobs, which we also subscribe to already. I believe Lori can speak up if that's not the case. And then the Union Leader ad, I think, cost us about $170 last year, roughly. Don't quote me on, don't hold me to the exact dollar amount, but it was right around, it was less than $200 for a ad to be placed for the superintendent position.
What about the cost on the yearly salary of an intern versus a permanent?
I got a note from one person who's pretty well versed in what they do, and he had mentioned to me that they get paid, an interim gets paid anywhere from $500 to $600 a day. So if you do the math, and you did 52 weeks of the year, and I don't know what you would do, but you're talking, over $100,000 if you were to do full-time at that rate of pay. We obviously don't have that budgeted, so it would have to be negotiable.
Well, we do have some of it budgeted because we have Michelle's salary.
Right, but I mean, we
But
don't
not to that
have,
extent.
right, we don't. Yes, Sue?
I I think that the plan that you've outlined makes sense, and it seems like, as much as I think all of us would like to have someone in place, someone who's permanent, who we could start forging those relationships with. I agree that, you don't want to rush and make a mistake and have another fit and then be in this place in another year. My question was, I just, listening to the public input from the staff, I'm wondering, I think the plan for going forward with filling the vacancy sounds like it makes sense, but I'm just concerned about the morale issue and, whether it has to do with morale or not. We've lost 2 key positions in the vice principal and the director of technology. The librarian's moving on, and I don't know if anything else that may or may not have been, coming up, but just, listening to that, I know that I greatly value the teachers and the staff and the administration at our school. And, I already think about, oh gee, who are my children gonna get in the coming years, and that person's so wonderful and they've done such a great job with my son, and I just wonder what we can do, and as a board, but also as a community, to address this, because I think it's a big concern. It's a big concern for me, and I'm sure it's a big concern for you as well. So.
I have to say, it's news to me, what I'm hearing. All of this coming up now because of this situation is news to me. And I feel it's very important to address it. As the chair, I don't want our board to have this kind of, give this impression to the teachers that we have obviously given to the teachers and the staff. So, and even to the community if we have. And I think that we have to talk as a board and figure out how we can maybe have a couple of forums and really work, doing some work with the public to make sure you know what our goals are and why we're doing what we're doing, and communicating it better to everybody. Our meetings are public, but it seems that there's some information that's just getting lost in the shuffle about what we supported and what we approve and what we spend money on that's above and beyond what was even budgeted. So I think we need to communicate better as a group to everybody, and to make sure that they know that we do value them as teachers, and we are proud of our school. I don't know a board member that's sitting here that we're not sitting here for anything other than to make Ellis the best it can be for our kids. And we've all had children go through there just as you have now, and we know the quality people that are there. So we need to do a better job of figuring out how to make sure our message is getting out to the staff and to the parents.
Yeah, I just want to say, I didn't mean to say that it was the board's fault that this feeling exists in the school, because I don't know where the blame lies, and I don't mean to assign blame because that's not my job. My concern is more with, there is this feeling, and how do we work together to address it and make it better, because I don't want to lose anybody else, and it feels like there is a sense of urgency, and I think, I was thinking about it as you were reading that letter, and I don't think that the superintendent resignation suddenly makes everybody feel this way, but I think it just makes everybody think, wow, and I feel this way, and I'm concerned, and I'm upset, and I'm hurt, so I think it just brings everything to the surface that maybe has been simmering under the surface for a while, and not necessarily, but there's a public vote on things like raises, and it's been a while for many of the teachers, and I know that there's still the steps that happen for some, and I'm not as familiar with that as I should be to really speak to it, but is there any kind of strategy for that, and how we position it, how we put it on the ballot, how we structure it? And again, this is not my area of expertise, but just trying to think outside of the box, and maybe talking to the staff about that and letting them know, if you haven't had a raise, maybe we put something on the ballot where we say if you hadn't had a raise in 5 years and you feel that your performance merits it and you're not getting a step raise. Again, I'm not the expert on this, so probably what I'm saying is not legally possible, but can we brainstorm, can we think about this stuff and try to let them know that we care and that we're trying to help. So that's
Well, I
all.
think just the fact that you're sitting here and you're saying this out loud and the communication is a huge step. I mean, to sit for the public, for the teachers, for anyone to sit and let things like that build up inside. This is when it all comes out at situations like this. Having the communication and knowing that we all need to work together, it will make a big difference. But if we're not aware, then it's hard to address. So just having it takes a lot to come out and speak and say what you want to say. So,
And the board, the board approved the teacher negotiation contract, and so, but then it goes to the voters, and that's when it's really out of your hands, except to put it on the ballot and see what happens.
So I know one of the things we talked about earlier in the year was try to do more informational sessions with the town to chalk up teacher contract, hopefully we get one this year, it's on there, but to have more informational sessions with just someplace in the town, so people know about it, know how hard they work and if they deserve it.
Yeah, they need to get to the deliberative session if they're gonna hear about it. Right? Were you gonna say something?
I just was wondering if the board has considered at all, obviously this is a huge hurdle for you, just with the interim superintendent and then moving forward with hiring a new one, but just thinking about the reasons for these resignations, like is there something that in these resignations or reasons why this is happening that seems to be a consistent thread, and is there something that needs to be changed in the system that we're doing? Sometimes we put certain things into momentum and we have good intentions for them, but then they backfire on us. And if that is the case, like how do we step back from that and say, maybe these are some of the things that we did try that aren't working and we need to correct moving forward in order to keep a new superintendent with us?
I can speak for myself personally. I learn something new every day, and I do accept responsibility when it is my issue, or if I've maybe said something in the wrong way or have talked, have said something in the wrong way. And I try to learn from that as an individual on the board, and I have learned a lot being on the board. So yes, I evaluate everything that happens and try to make it better the next time around. There are some things that you just can't change. But no, I personally do want to make sure we do the best we can for the district, and that I need to learn from some things that I do wrong. And I've changed a lot since I've been on the board. I think anybody who's worked with me can probably say that to some extent. But as far as the rest of the board, we discuss things, but.
To my knowledge, the other ones that are leaving are not leaving because they're dissatisfied with the way things are going in the school. So I think it just is all coincidental that, we received all the resignations kind of at once. I've spoken to some of the others leaving. The librarian is news to me, I don't know.
Well, that's because we haven't.
I just found out about that from you guys, so thank you for that. But,
That's
I
it,
have spoken.
non-publicly.
Yeah.
I have spoken.
The kids told us.
And, the feedback that I got was that, just things that happened and, it just happened to fall into their laps and opportunities that they had to take advantage of, not anything bad about the district, so.
That is good to hear.
Yeah.
It's just, I know that there's been hurdles in the past that I think the board has tried to come to terms with and move forward with and try to communicate to the community and fix problems really that have been.
Well, Fremont is also, we do a lot with professional development. We're growing our staff and, part of growing is moving up and moving on, and, that's the unfortunate part, but sometimes it happens when you develop your people too.
I'm sorry not to speak over you, Sharon. I think that's where the piece comes in, that once we're developing these people and they're getting their start with us and we're turning them into these true professionals that have the knowledge of our school base and our programming, that's where it becomes critical that we keep them so they don't kind of grow to that place where whether it's their salary's not growing with them or their benefits not growing with them or the administration's not growing with them, that we need to make sure that all of this talent that we're pooling our resources to build, that our kids fall in love with, that fits into our community, that they don't find themselves in a position where they get an offer they can't refuse because we've already given it to them and they want to stay. So.
Yeah, unfortunately though, we're not comparing. There are times when there are districts that are much bigger than us
Oh, certainly.
who can the job is bigger.
The commute might be closer, there's a
Right.
million
Yeah,
factors,
yeah.
certainly,
And
absolutely.
so there are times when we can't compete.
Right, but I think there are times that we could maybe compete a little better, that maybe we have kind of, and maybe not, maybe I'm wrong, but,
Or if we are developing people with that in mind, and I think that's a great thing for people to move forward in their career, that we have some succession planning going on the other side, so that, you know, we're developing other resources, so it's not like, you know, vice principal, no director of technology, no superintendent all at once, that we're like, okay, we know so-and-so is ready to step up into that role, or whatever.
Well, I think, you know.
This gentleman here has been
Oh,
dying to say something.
I want to ask a couple of questions. Is there any formal
Can I have your
database
name?
of exit interview information?
who are you, Dan, first?
Dan Kayak. Fremont.
Okay.
Is there any database of exit interview information? I know you're talking anecdotally, we hear why this person left or why that person left. Do we have any trending data that goes over like 2, 3, or 5 years that we can track the demographic of what's leaving, where they are in their career, but also what their reasoning for moving on is?
Right, the board knows why the superintendents leave, obviously, because they respond to us. And we do get resignation letters that indicate why somebody is leaving on occasion. We only get that through the superintendent, because the board does not handle individual operations of personnel. We simply take the recommendation of the superintendent normally. So if there's, first of all, there hasn't been a lot of people leaving our district. This particular case, there are 2, the vice principal and the technology director, who have left this year before they signed their contracts. And one we can't talk about yet. And so in years past, there hasn't been a large turnover of staff.
And one more question. Is there any formal surveying of the existing workforce so that you can find out why would you stay, what makes you stay, what are things you would be, would make you listen to other offers, so that, again, we're tracking. And then if you tie that into a talent management strategy, you are aware of what your workforce is looking for, and you're then creating the strategy around what would motivate them to stay?
I don't know of anything, but the principal could probably tell us if there was something like that ever done. I don't know if our focus groups did that when we were doing demographics. Long
Good
time
idea.
ago, several, 5 years, 6 years ago. But it's a great suggestion, and that's why I think the board needs to think about doing some community focus groups and forums to sit down and we have to be careful not to step on the toes of the principal and the administrators also, because we really are supposed to be relying on them to bring us the recommendations that we then make based on their expertise. But it's a great suggestion, and it certainly is something that we could at least facilitate to suggest happening for the district.
And I think at least for some of those positions, we're so small, we can't necessarily have someone ready to take over just because of our size. You know, for example, IT director. We're just so small, we can't justify 2 people to have one waiting.
I think the other thing too, I mean, like you mentioned, the atmosphere of the school. I think, when you talk about, workforce retention, there's salary, but and benefits, but there's also, workplace atmosphere. And I think if we have a school, I think we have school boards committed, if you have a staff that is committed to really making this a good school. And sometimes when you do that, people get upset, because it means some people have changed the way they do things. And some people like it, some people are say, at last, finally. Some people would as Nancy would say, ugh. So you don't know how people are going to respond. But I think as we push, we did move to have accreditation, move towards accreditation of our school, which I think is going to be an excellent gauge as to, where we're at as far as, meeting the good standards of education. But I think as we work together to make this a good school, and we're getting students are learning what they need to learn, and they're graduating. We just heard last week that we had the 6 students at Sanborn that received special notice. 4 of them were from Ellis. So,
honor students that were
honors-
chosen,
Yeah,
4 of the 6 were.
yeah.
Were
for-
Fremont students.
Yeah, 4 of the 6
At the
were
high
Fremont
school.
students at the high school. So I think, yeah, we are moving in that direction. And I think, you know, and there's.
And it's not a new phenomenon. I mean, the district itself has been producing students who do extremely well for years and years.
Right.
And I think we just want to see that continue and move
Right.
and get even better.
Yeah, and there's a lot of work that was done this year, and we certainly would like to continue with. But I think that is, you know, I think when people are focused in, I mean, there's a lot of, you know, when it comes to education, there's a lot of controversy in education, the core, not core curriculum, but, you know, the core standards, a lot of controversy with that. There's a lot of people dissatisfied with the core standards. There's always tensions within the school, you know, regarding how finances and how you use finances. I mean, there's a lot of things that occur naturally that you try to work with. But I think I think the key is that working to keep focused, you know, if we can just stay focused on the fact that we want the school to continually improve. And I think that is the key. And, you know, we're looking at test scores. We're having John, you know, for the first time, you know, he's presenting test scores as they come up, so we can look and compare. We can ask questions about areas where he's looking to improve the school and things like that. One thing in your direction I've asked for is like when students leave school, if we could sort of keep track of why students come in and why students are leaving. No names attached, obviously, but so we can get a sense of, you know, what, you know, are people moving out because they don't like it, or they're moving out because there's better opportunities, or, you know, for families, it's a job thing. So I mean, keeping track of that sort of thing.
But to your question, right now, I'm not aware of any data that's been collected to that extent
Right.
that has been shared with the board.
Thanks. I did the report from Michelle. Does that include an update to the strategic plan and that matrix?
We
Or is
just
that something
recently
that's-
we did just recently
That has been done.
update that
Okay.
form. And she did kind of, I believe, I didn't compare it apples to apples, but it does pretty much go down that same line of what
Yeah.
we've been working on, yes. And gave us the status so far and what she recommends we continue to do,
Yeah.
and who continues to do it,
Okay.
yeah.
And then the board has over the summer, like a self-evaluation also that will be coming up in probably the next month or two.
We usually do it in August.
August, okay.
Yeah.
And I guess I'll just throw this out there. I don't know how the board would feel about something like this, but I know when we were looking before for the superintendent, there was an offer from Dr. Blake to provide some kind of services.
Oh.
And that, he said it wouldn't be that big a deal to, you know, do that on an interim basis. So I'll just throw that out as a temporary measure that you might want to consider. I don't know.
Okay, never even thought of that.
Yeah.
Dr. Blake is the superintendent at Sanborn Regional. Does everybody feel like they have a chance to share what they needed to share? Thank you. I guess we need to enter into non-public session. We need a motion to go in for RSA 91A3, Roman numeral 1 and 2, and Article B and C. Roll call.
Praise I.
Keen aye.
Thank you, guys.
We're back in public session, and we have a couple of housekeeping items to take care of. In non-public session, we made a motion and voted unanimously to approve the request by the superintendent to have her final day of employment in the district be June 28th, 2013. Also, we accepted a resignation from Jody Antone, with regret. And that was unanimous. And I believe that's all I need to say about any of that.
Right.
Okay. And now we go into a review of the public minutes. See, does everybody have
So,
some? They were in our
Did we
packet.
actually, I thought we said we were gonna motion that outside of
Motion what?
Jody's, Anton?
We just did. We're in public.
We just,
But you said we made a motion, we didn't make a motion.
we're supposed to.
We voted to accept her resignation unanimously with regret. Is that what you're asking? Is that what
No, we
Yeah, I don't think we
didn't-
voted.
Oh, we actually were gonna vote in public on that.
Yes, that's it.
Okay, my
I make a motion
apologies.
to accept the resignation of Jody Anton
Thank
with
you.
regret.
I want a second, a third.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, now we need to review the public minutes of June 11th. Did anybody have any changes to those minutes?
No.
I did not.
I did not.
Nobody?
Nope.
Motion to accept the June 11th public
Do you
minutes
look any changes
as presented.
Well, just, we need to, Antia Corsi, I think she's on the, she's
Oh,
on
yeah.
the attendance
McKee,
list.
of course.
Oh, McKee, okay.
Got it, yep, okay.
That's the blank that was right there. Oh, there's a bunch of blanks, I thought so. Okay, on page 14, return to general session. This was the 10:15 PM.
Yep.
That's in section 15, did you see it?
Yep.
So that would be 10:15.
Yep.
And then adjournment was right after that, like,
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
and who motioned to adjourn?
I think it was me.
Okay, yep.
Sharon motioned. Does anybody remember who seconded?
I did.
Andy seconded.
Okay.
And I guess I'll do that. Okay, so motion to accept.
Motion to accept the minutes of
June
June
11th.
11th, 2013 as amended.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And then there was the public minutes of June 13th, which was our special meeting that we had. And that was just that we went, we got here at 7:39. We went into, we did an agenda revision to include going in and out of public and non-public about a personnel issue. And then we returned to general session and I actually said that I would be ensure that the attorney reviews the minutes to determine whether or not there's personnel confidentiality regulations that would violate if the minutes were unsealed. If not, the board would vote whether or not to unseal the minutes after the eval by the attorney. And during non-public, yeah, that's highlighted because she wasn't sure if we confirmed that, but we did. That we made a motion and seconded to accept the letter of resignation from Michelle Langa.
Do we have that?
Yeah, this was in your packet.
What
Okay.
page?
Okay, maybe not. That's why there's probably 5 copies.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
It's nice that you're reading to us, though.
I know, it is nice.
Want me to read this?
It's been a very long night.
You pretty much read it all, sorry. Because you were done, so I will motion to accept the public minutes of June 13th as presented.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. I don't think you have these either because
Right.
Yvonne took these. So, we'll just make sure Yvonne puts them in the file. Okay, I think, agenda for the next meeting. We had a few things for the next meeting. We obviously are gonna need to do the, cafe services contract. That's gonna be coming due, and so Lori's gonna have that for us. I I was thinking that we should probably request a review of the grants for this year and see how we're doing with those and the detail of those. I'll be more specific with Lori on that and tell her what we're looking for.
What a state of the budget for next year. So we get an idea of what the surplus is on the tuition line and what.
Oh, for the upcoming
Right.
year, school year.
We need a non-public to talk about contract stuff,
Contract stuff?
The contract.
the attorney stuff you're gonna be meeting with.
Well, yeah, we might have some resolution on the paras, so,
Did you?
yeah, I got that, yeah.
Okay, so,
Yeah.
contract stuff.
You're gonna have a meeting on Wednesday?
Oh, gotcha. That would be non-public, yeah, that would be an updated non-public, okay.
What meeting is this on Wednesday?
Hmm?
What meeting is
We'll
this?
talk about it in our
About-
public.
About
Oh,
the
yeah.
tuition contract.
All right. Oh, okay, yeah.
And
Well,
anything, does anybody else have anything important that they need to go over at the next meeting?
The only thing.
It's not gonna be till July 9th.
Right, I will be meeting with the selectmen Thursday night, talking to them about two things that you asked me to talk to them about. Like, the one about purchasing equipment for the school,
Okay,
and number two, about what is the school's role in an emergency management plan.
okay,
So I'll be
like an
asking,
update on that.
update on that. I don't think they have one for the second one, but they'll certainly be able to give us some ideas in the
Now,
first.
do they know that that's what's on your agenda?
Yes.
Okay. So they
Yeah,
have had time to think about it and prepare for it?
Yes.
So we should have answers then, that's great.
Also,
And more than likely, we'll have some kind of an update on the interim superintendent as well by then, so. But we'll just add that to the agenda as we build it. All right, with all business being done, I will accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
We're waiting for you.
I don't know.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Okay, go ahead.
We need to do a housekeeping that we forgot to do, so we need to go back into general session. A motion to go back into general session, please.
I'll make a motion to go back into general session.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Motion to seal the minutes of the non-public portion of tonight's meeting
For how long?
for 1 year.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Ready?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.